Good evening and welcome. My name is Maria Del Cruz and I am the president of Newberry High School's Student Government Association. Alongside I have Vice President Scarlett McDonald and we will be the moderators for this evening's debate. Before these two seek your vote for seat 3, we would like to thank you all for attending tonight's debate, and we would also like to thank the candidates for accepting our invitation to be here tonight, and the City of Newberry for allowing us to use the commission chambers. We are happy to present our program to you tonight. With us this evening are the candidates for Newberry City Commission Group 3, incumbent Commissioner Farnsworth and candidate Wallace. Here is the format we will follow in tonight's debate. Each candidate submitted 4 questions to me via email. No other person has seen these questions. We would like to stress that the Student Government Association did not come up with these questions. They were generated by the candidates themselves and by you, the audience. If you'd like to ask questions, please feel free to go to the back table or raise your hand and our wonderful volunteer will provide you with a card and a pen. The candidates did a coin toss to determine the order of the questions, and candidate Farnsworth won. Candidate Farnsworth chose to give the final statement, and candidate Wallace will follow. Candidates will have 2 minutes to respond to each question and will receive a 30-second warning buzzer and then a cut off buzzer. We will allow rebuttals tonight for any question that is asked if the candidate would like the opportunity. We have 2 3-minute crossfires, one after the second round and one at the end of the debate. Each candidate will have the opportunity to begin one of the crossfires. In this section, each candidate may ask his opponent any question he would like. Please be mindful of time restrictions. We will strive to ensure each candidate receives equal treatment. Finally, we will end with each candidate's 2-minute closing statements. Do the candidates have any questions? We will begin the debate, and we will begin with opening statements. Candidate Wallace, will you begin with your opening statement, please?
Good evening. I'm David Wallace, most commonly known as Wally, most proudly known as Coach Wall. Moved here this summer before my 8th grade year of high school, graduated in 1984. I've served working for the city for 27 years. I've proudly coached the youth of this community at one time for 20 years, and I just recently went back into it. And in 2013, we started the Newberry RC Park out at the Easton Complex. It's another accomplishment I'm pretty proud of. I'd like to add one more accomplishment along the way, and that's where I get a chance to continue serving the city from up here. I'd like to thank everybody for coming tonight, student government for being here and putting this on, and that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Wallace. Commissioner Farnsworth, will you begin with your opening statement?
Thank you. First of all, thank the student government for being here, and thank you guys from the audience for showing up tonight. Also, people on YouTube and TV, hi. Glad you guys are able to watch. Just to tell you a few things about myself that you might not know, or the people that do know, they might know it. But anyhow, I'll go over a few things. I'm a 3rd generation Newberryan. I've been here my entire life, which has been 62 whole years. I know I look like I'm in my 30s, but you know I'm not. Went through Newberry High School from kindergarten all the way through 12th grade, and got out of that somehow. Actually graduated. Decided to go into business administration in college. Started that, and then became a Newberry volunteer firefighter and EMT. And with that, it kind of changed my perspective and decided I wanted to pursue the medical field a little more. So I went to nursing and had done that for 37 years. I had a child that was born, and her name is Tabitha. She passed away when she was 12. And then I have a son, Nathan, who is 18. He lives with his mom in Gainesville. He goes to Beholtz High School. He would have been here tonight, but he's fighting a little case of mono, so he's kind of suffering a little bit right now. But he told me to plug his music, so if you want to go on Instagram and see Nathan Farnsworth, that'd be cool. I hope to continue in this position and continue to help Newberry grow in the right direction. And once again, I thank everybody for coming out.
Thank you, Commissioner Farnsworth.
Alrighty, so round one will be city government questions, and our first question goes to candidate Wallace. It is common knowledge you were terminated as an employee of the city of Newberry. Are you running in an attempt to seek retaliation against the city of Newberry and or the city manager?
I had a feeling that question would come up. I didn't know we were going to start with it, but it's no secret that I was terminated. And it's not surprising. I don't know anybody that's ever been terminated that was happy with being so. But as far as seeking revenge or coming back around, no, that's not it. I've had dealings with the city manager through the RC Park since that termination, and we deal with one another on a professional level that way. And I fully expect that that can continue. Like I said, I'm not happy about being terminated. You spend 27 years doing something, it means a lot to you. But we have to move on in life. I've moved on.
Thank you. And Commissioner Farnsworth, would you like a 1-minute rebuttal?
No, thank you.
Moving on to the second question, we will be addressed to Commissioner Farnsworth. We have had commissioners who have been actively involved in and about the community, and we've had commissioners who appear to just show up to scheduled meetings. Which of the best describes your approach, and explain why?
One thing about being a city commissioner, it's a 24/7 job. You're constantly being called. Anytime you go to the store, somebody's going to approach you. If you go to the fill your cart with gas, somebody's going to approach you and talk to you about things, and that's part of the situation. I mean, I was on vacation in Disney World and in Epcot, and somebody caught me there. So it's like 24/7. As part of the job, showing up to vote is important. I've missed a couple of meetings over the last 4 years, but I continue to do the best I can, and we've been able to accomplish quite a bit in that period of time. So that's pretty much all I need to say about that.
Thank you, Commissioner Farnsworth. Candidate Wallace, would you like a 1-minute rebuttal?
I'd just like to expand upon that. I agree that you have to answer the phone calls and all that, but I think it goes a little bit more. I think we need to be in the community actively trying to get things started, encouraging our citizens to become part and get involved themselves. And I would hope that that's something that I can push the other commissioners to get involved with along with me, and let's do that.
Thank you, candidate Wallace.
Our third question goes to candidate Wallace. Seeing that you were passed over for supervisor positions while at the city of Newberry, what skills have you acquired that would make you qualified to be a leadership position now?
I may have not been what the management was wanting for their supervisor. The criteria for that we don't need to go into because you weren't there. But I have to go back to coaching. The kids that I have coached, you're a supervisor in that regard. You're taking these kids and you're trying to build them, not just on the court or on the field, but a little bit in their life. And I managed to do that for a good number of kids for 20 years. And while I may not have been supervisor here at the city, you can talk to some of the employees that I worked with, and they know that even without the title, I was a leader. So it's not like if I get elected, I'm going to sit here and I rule the roost. I'm a part of a team. So I think I can do that in that regards just fine.
Thank you, Candidate Wallace. Commissioner Farnsworth, would you like a 1-minute rebuttal?
Yeah, I'll say a little something. In my role as one of the nurse managers at the hospital and taking care of patients and having to deal with employees also, there are many times when family members or people get upset because we're talking about the care of a loved one, and they want the best they can get, of course. And whether it's true or not, they perceive things as not being the best that they're able to get, and I have to intervene and talk to them and reassure them, and then of course we have numerous employees that I have had to deal with over the years and try to make things good between all of them. So I do have a little bit of supervisory experience, and really it's helped me in my life and that we're dealing with.
Thank you, Commissioner Farnsworth.
I ain't heard no beep.
Now we'll move to the fourth question of this round, addressed to Commissioner Farnsworth. The city and the county have a strained relationship. What have you done, or what would you do to help bridge the gap and try to make a better relationship moving forward?
You know, the county commission can be a little difficult to deal with at times. We have made some strides with them, and for the most part, when they're presented with the facts, they do understand and they do help us out. And recently, we had to go to them, and Mayor Marlowe was the head of speaking to them and having them fully understand the gas tax and the implication it has on the revenue for the city of Newberry. And he negotiated that well, and they were receptive. You know, it takes a little time, but they were receptive. And we just had to keep an open conversation with them. We can't go in there like bull in a china cabinet and, we want this. You can't do that. You have to be able to work with them, and both of us come up with mutual agreements and stuff. And I think we've done fairly well with that. But they are a little tougher group than some people.
Thank you, Commissioner Farnsworth. Candidate Wallace, would you like a 1-minute rebuttal?
I mean, we're all about Newberry, and we want what's in the best interest of Newberry. And sometimes what's in our best interest is to not go in there with your mind already made up. You have to listen. You sit there and you try and hear the other side of it. You don't always agree. But I think sometimes we can regroup, back up, and reevaluate and try a different approach to some things. The objective is a clear vision that hopefully work out a resolve that both parties can agree with, and not always just treat things like you're getting it, like you're being the punching child. So
Alrighty, thank you. And then we have an additional question for Candidate Wallace. Considering how you left your employment with the city recently, what has changed now that makes you want to work for the city again?
I've never not wanted to work for the city. Since the day I got my job, over the years. I had plenty of opportunities to go with better pay. The city is what I love. I can't reiterate that enough. And just because I'm no longer working for the city from the utility standpoint, doesn't mean I still don't want to be a part of the city. Doesn't mean I don't want to continue serving the city. I know it sounds really corny, really hokey, but I love Newberry, regardless of what has happened.
Thank you, candidate Wallace. We will now we will move into round 2. Commissioner Farnsworth, would you like a 1-minute rebuttal?
I think he did the rebuttal. I did the question.
It was
Oh, that, okay. No. He explained himself well.
Thank you. Now we will move on to round 2, and the focus topic is law enforcement, and the questions addressed to Commissioner Farnsworth. ASO versus City PD isn't a topic that will be going away anytime soon. What is your take on the matter, and what would you propose the city do? Please explain your answer.
Okay. Many years ago, the city of Newberry did have their own police department. And during the era of Lou Henry and Crevasse, it was decided that we would turn it over to the county commission, or to the county sheriff's department. And those people actually wanted to work with us and make things good for the city of Newberry. And during that period of time, it worked out well. Now we're at a period that Newberry is growing. We need to start looking at getting our own police department. We need to get out underneath the thumb of the sheriff's department and be able to have control over our finances and the direction the police department takes. There's one point in time where we were thinking about going to the county fire department, and people came to us and said, no, we didn't want to have it. We love our fire department. They do a great job. They're always accessible and all. And the same thing can happen with the police department, where they're here, they're more accessible, and we have more control over how things operate. And I think, hopefully, in the near future, that things will start going towards having our own police department.
Thank you, Commissioner Farnsworth. Candidate Wallace, would you like a 1-minute rebuttal?
Like Commissioner Farnsworth, I remember what it was like before, with just having the zone officer. And for us, it worked fine. Of course, we didn't know any better. That's what we had. That's all we knew. Enhanced services, we have a little bit better coverage now, so the expectations are higher. We're paying an awful lot with MSTU, and all the things about not knowing what it's going to be year to year. It hurts. A city police department would be a great idea if it was done right from the get-go. Just going on estimated cost of or startup and not considering what it's going to be operational cost and liability, and not just starting a department, but we're Newberry. We want to do things right. Things are moving forward. You want to start a professional department. We don't want to suffer through trial and error with something that important.
Thank you, Candidate Wallace.
Our second question will go to candidate Wallace. The ASO contract is an extremely complicated matter that will require the political acumen to deal effectively with ASO as well as the county. What do you bring to the dais on the issue, since you have made it a point to stress that you are not a politician?
That's correct. I'm not a politician. And all I bring to something like that, or anything else that I don't have experience in, is the willingness to go back and research, get data, talk to the other commissioners who have information on it and have experience dealing with it. I'm not going to make I'm not going to make my mind up based on not having facts. So I'll do the work to figure out what's going on.
Candidate Farnsworth, would you like a 1-minute rebuttal?
No, thank you.
Now we will move on to our first crossfire, and we will start with candidate Farnsworth.
I have nothing.
We will be moving on to round 3, which will be questions dealing with the economy. And this is to candidate Wallace. With your involvement with the RC Park, are you looking to fund it with taxpayer money? And if elected, are you going to resign from your position related to the RC Park?
First off, the way we've done the RC Park, I know you've heard others talk about it. I'm proud of the way we've done it. We started that park out with an idea, a tiller, and a retention pond. And we tilled it out of dirt that wasn't being used in a retention pond. People started coming to it. We moved it up and put it up out of the pond and built an actual clay track. City didn't fund that. Now what the city does do, they do offer us free lights and water. And at the time I was working for the city, so the equipment, I used the city equipment to work on it because it was a city park. And the city does continue to drag it for us when we have to do anything major. I have a friend that brings in equipment. So no, we won't be continuing to use taxpayer dollars. We haven't been using taxpayer dollars unless, like I said, the lights and the water.
Thank you, candidate Wallace. Commissioner Farnsworth, would you like a 1-minute rebuttal?
No, ma'am.
Okay. The second question is addressed to Commissioner Farnsworth. It appears after talking to many that Newberry is in favor of business growth. What have you done or what would you do to search out businesses that are looking to expand or relocate and draw them to Newberry?
Yeah, businesses are an essential part of any city. They're actually the primary funding for cities. And for a city to continue to function without raising the taxes on the citizens, we have to have businesses here. And as a commissioner, we've been working towards that kind of thing. We've just expanded the water lines out a couple miles east of Newberry. We're working on expanding the sewer lines out there right now. We have some approved franchise agreements with GRU and Florida Public Utilities to provide natural gas service to Newberry, and that will lower the cost and bring more businesses in. I did support a referendum to permit city to offer tax abatements as economic development tool for attracting good development to Newberry. We've updated the comprehensive plan to promote Research Park as an additional land use, zoning category to permit agricultural technology in Newberry, and we're working on a Newberry Ag Tech Innovation Park, and we've also amended the comprehensive plan to enable development of industries that support construction activity in Newberry. So we are working towards making things better, and it takes time, but I think we're moving in the right direction.
Thank you, Commissioner Farnsworth. Candidate Wallace, would you like a 1-minute rebuttal?
And what the City Commission has done over the last few years to make that happen is commendable. I think in addition to that, and it's just ideas, but that's what makes Newberry attractive, but how do we get the word out? How do we go out and find those businesses that are looking to relocate or expand and get them to Newberry? I would like to see if we couldn't get the Economic Development Committee back together and utilize the people that we have in Newberry that have the contacts and the business mind to work toward getting that. Utilize the high school students with their Future Business Leaders Club. Have them come up, make it a class project or a club project to reach out to these things. Let's utilize what we have to get the word out to these companies, these businesses, these industries about Newberry and the infrastructure that has set up for them.
Thank you, candidate Wallace.
Our third question will go to candidate Wallace. Can you provide one concrete plan to revitalize the downtown area? And your response, please be specific about details and funding.
I'm not going to sit here and try and come up with something on the fly for that. I don't have a plan for what goes on or to better the downtown area. I'm sure that if you get in here, there's going to be ideas kicked around. I don't know what to do today about that. I don't know from right here, right now, I don't know what is doable from a city standpoint and what needs to be doable from the business part of it. So I don't have an answer for that.
Thank you, candidate Wallace. Commissioner Farnsworth, would you like a 1-minute rebuttal?
Yeah, I'd like to say one thing about that. You know, that's a lot of that's up to the businesses. If you take a look at what we have downtown right now, we have a cabinet shop and then a beauty salon that's open part-time. We have a restaurant that's open part-time, a doctor's area. Those kind of things bring a few people in, but they're not something that's going to bring a whole lot of touristy kind of people in. The Main Street's been working diligently to help facilitate that. Well, you have to remember that downtown is just one small part of the city of Newberry. We have a lot more area that needs to be taken care of also. And we appreciate business coming here. We got the Golden Pineapple that just recently opened, and they're only open part-time. That's up to the business. That's their decision.
Thank you, Commissioner Farnsworth. The fourth question of this category is for Commissioner Farnsworth. With the rapid population increase occurring in Newberry, please tell the residents what you have personally done or plan to do for the challenges that growth will bring.
Okay. I just went over all the economic development things that we are working on. We're also have been implementing a road resurfacing program so we can properly maintain our roads and our infrastructure. We're working on a automated metering system to help residents realize what's going on in their utility bills so they can see if there's an abnormality, and they can be notified immediately if they're using more water than they normally use or something like that. They can look at their electric bill in real time and find out if there's something's out of line. And I'm looking forward to putting that into action. We've built our general fund reserves from 0 to 1.5 million in a 4-year period. We set up a fleet program where we actually are starting to put money aside so that whenever vehicles get to a point where they're no more usable, we can replace them, and we have the money there to actually do it. So those are some of the things that we've been doing to help take care of this situation.
Thank you, Commissioner Farnsworth. Okay.
Candidate Wallace, would you like a 1-minute rebuttal?
No.
And so we will be moving on to round 4, which is social issues. So to candidate Wallace, how important do you believe it is to uphold a proper image when representing Newberry on your social media profile? And if elected, will you represent Newberry all the time or just when you are in the commission chambers?
I don't know how many people actually pay attention to anything I say or do on Facebook, but I represent, when I'm on Facebook, like my mom is reading it. So regardless of whether I'm a commissioner or an individual citizen, I treat people with respect and with dignity. We may disagree, but I can disagree with someone, even in social media, where you have anonymity if it's in certain situations, with respect. We'll disagree about it, but it doesn't have to get nasty.
Thank you, candidate Wallace. Commissioner Farnsworth, would you like a 1-minute rebuttal?
Yeah, I would like to talk about Facebook for just a minute, or social media. It's kind of a two-edged sword. It's nice to be able to put stuff out for the citizens to see, but on the other hand, it can also come back and cut your throat. One of the other commissioners put out something like, I think this new project coming in town is going to be a great thing to help us. I can't even say I like that. I can't even say anything about that. So even though I might agree with it, or even if I disagree with it, I can't say anything because under the Sunshine Law, we're not able to communicate with each other in that way. So I think the best thing for me to do is just keep my opinions to myself for the most part on Facebook, and as far as the city is concerned, and it's be safer for me anyhow.
Thank you, Commissioner Farnsworth. Moving on to the second question, you have the same question as candidate Wallace previously. How important do you believe it is to uphold a proper image when representing Newberry on your social media platform? And if elected, how will you represent Newberry? And will you represent Newberry all the time, or just when you're in the commission chambers?
I represent Newberry all the time. I hope that people will see me as a likable person and a good commissioner, and you don't see me. I'm not out doing drugs or drinking or bad little things like that. So I'm not sure why that question was presented, but anyhow, yeah, you have to think about your position at all times and be mindful of what and who it affects.
Thank you, Commissioner Farnsworth. Candidate Wallace, would you like a 1-minute rebuttal?
No, it's the same thing.
Okay, thank you.
Alrighty, so to candidate Wallace, young people are often excluded or overlooked. If elected, how would you incorporate the younger generation into community affairs and increase participation for the youth residing in Newberry?
Well, going back to what I was saying about with the better business leaders, and that's something I think that actually would work. It's involving the high school students in something that they're already involved with. Perhaps it could be even a scholarship type of thing that's done. It still saves the city money. Coaching these kids, coaching this youth. We promote Newberry if you're on my team. We represent Newberry when we go out. So we're always building them to be proud Newberrians and to represent and to be involved.
Thank you, candidate Wallace. Commissioner Farnsworth, would you like a 1-minute rebuttal? Okay, thank you. Moving on to the fourth question addressed to Commissioner Farnsworth. Many years ago, Newberry experienced a tragic crime locally known as the Newberry Six. Would you support the creation of a monument to memorialize that event? If not, why not? If so, why?
Okay, repeat the question.
Many years ago, Newberry experienced a tragic crime locally known as the Newberry Six. Would you support the creation of a monument to memorialize that event? If so, why not? If so, why?
Okay, to be honest with you, I'm not sure what that event was, so I really can't respond to that.
Okay.
It was the lynching of
Okay.
6
Lynch
African
Hammock.
Americans.
Did you say Lynch Hammock? I got it.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that was absolute travesty. And, it's sad. It is part of the history of Newberry, and I remember as a young child hearing about it and thinking, how wrong it was. And I have no problem putting up a monument regarding that. I think it's part of our history, and it's something that shouldn't be forgotten.
Candidate Wallace, would you like a 1-minute rebuttal?
No, I actually echo Monty's beliefs on that.
Thank you. And then we also have an audience question to you both. Please say something nice about your opponent.
This is an easy one. You know, I do appreciate what Wally has done as far as the RC park. I mean, he started that thing from nothing. He built it up, and it has been very successful. And I've been very pleased with it, and the feedback I've gotten on it has been very good. And I do appreciate him also taking the time to spend coaching the youth, and I think that's very commendable of him.
Alrighty, thank you. And then candidate Wallace.
I like Monty, which probably begs the question why I wanted to run against him. I don't have a good answer for that. The guy's a good guy. He's an honorable guy. He's an honest guy. And he's a good commissioner. I'm not telling you to, it's like I'm swaying it, but Monty's a good guy.
Alrighty, thank you both. And then we are moving on to our crossfire. It will be 3 minutes, and we'll be starting off with candidate Wallace.
Time's up. I don't have anything.
Okay, that means we'll be moving on to our closing statements. Candidate Wallace, please begin with your closing statement.
When I first told the mayor I was going to run, he asked me what my platform was going to be. I told him I really didn't have a platform. I was just willing to be involved, be engaging, work hard to keep serving Newberry. Being more experienced, he told me, that's your platform. I still didn't get it. When you love something, you get involved with its development. You actively engage to see what its needs are, work tirelessly to see that everything is done to make it the best that it can be it a relationship, a child, a business, or in this case, a city and its citizens. So if that's a platform, I guess that's mine. It's not just a platform, though. It's a promise. There have been many who've sat in these seats and done great things for Newberry. If elected, I can't promise I will equal the same accomplishments of those that have sat here before me. What I can promise you is I will work hard, as hard or harder, to keep moving Newberry forward as any who have been up here before. I will be as involved both from this seat as well as in the community as anyone who's preceded me. Facts are facts. I'm probably the least qualified candidate in the entire race. But I'm also one of the hardest working of anybody that'll be here. I don't know if something as simple as that is enough to earn your vote. But if it is, I'll make sure that you'll get a good return on your investment.
Thank you, candidate Wallace. Candidate Farnsworth, your closing statement, please.
Yeah, I want to first of all thank everybody for showing up, and thank the student government for having us. I think most people pretty much heard everything and made up their mind as far as how they're going to vote. So I want to end the mind with a little story. There was this wise old man that lived in this town, and people come far and wide, many miles away, and they would come and visit him and ask him his questions, and he would help them out. Well, there was a couple of young teenage guys that decided they were going to fool the old man. So they said, what we'll do is we'll get a little bird, and we'll put it in our hands, and we'll go up and ask him what it is. And of course, they'll know it's a bird because he's this wise old man, but we'll ask him, is it dead or is it alive? If he says it's dead, we'll open our hands and it'll fly away. If he says it's alive, we'll crush it and drop it to the ground. So they got in line, they waited, and after quite a while, they got up to the old man. He says, how can I help you, young man? He says, oh man, what I have in my hand? You have a little bird. Oh yeah, I kind of figure you know that, but is it dead or alive? He looked at that young man and said, is totally in your hands. And this election is totally in your hands. So now it's up to you guys. And come out of the vote on the 10th, but be sure to vote for Monty.
Thank you, Commissioner Farnsworth. This concludes our program. Thank you, candidates, and thank you all for attending. We urge you all to take the next step and vote to demonstrate that democracy is still alive and well in the city of Newberry. Everyone, please drive safe. Please vote on Tuesday, April 10th. The polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and voting takes place at the municipal building. Don't forget to take the Mayor's Water Conservation Challenge pledge at mywaterpledge.com.